Don't you need a cup?
No.
Huh?
No.
Why? You need a cup.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
Hit it, hit it, hit it, hit it, get it, get it, get it, get it. Ow, 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 show them, girl, yeah.
Heroes first, veterans together, legacy forever. I want to thank you for joining me on this journey of getting to know our heroes on a much deeper level. I am your host, Josh White, and this is the Hero Front Podcast. Let's get after it. Do you guys remember your military training leader, your MTL? I definitely do. I knew mine pretty well. My tech school was very, very long. It was 6 months long, and I never forgot these MTLs. They had such a huge impact on my life, and they're people that I'll never forget. And that's exactly why I asked my friend, TSgt Takiah Christensen, aka Beyonce Christensen, I asked her to be on Hero Front to tell me the top 5 lessons learned from being an MTL. And she goes into everything about being there for the airmen, the impact that she has on this large group of people, to the unexpected challenges that she faced taking on this new role. I know you're going to absolutely love TSgt Christensen, and I'm going to show you a few of her best TikTok videos because she is actually hilarious. So I know you're going to love her, you're going to love the episode, and you're going to love the TikTok videos. So without further ado, these are the top 5 lessons learned from being an MTL in the United States Air Force. Let's get after it. So the first one, and this is the one I love to ask, is what is your proudest Air Force moment?
Ooh, I would say my proudest Air Force moment, I would say making staff sergeant, honestly. I know that sounds lame, yeah. But I just remember as an airman, the rank of a staff sergeant was just like such a golden rank to me. I just felt like they were so knowledgeable, at least the staff sergeants that I knew. They were so knowledgeable. I just aspired to to be the staff sergeant that I saw throughout my career. So for me, you know, when I initially tested for staff, I missed it by like 5 points. The second time I tested, my name wasn't on the list, you know, so in my mind, I thought I missed it. And I didn't go to the staff sergeant release. I cried a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. And I was just really disappointed that I didn't make that rank. And then I go in and check my scores, and long and behold, my scores were lost. So it's not that I didn't make it, they just didn't know because they didn't have my test. So
Wow.
Fast forward like 2 months later, I'm outside doing some detail, picking up weeds, and my commander stopped me. He's like, "Hey, by the way, we found your scores, and congratulations, you made a staff sergeant."
And that's how you found out.
That's how I found out, with PT gear, sweaty, with some weeds in my hand. But in that moment, I was so proud. I'm proud of myself for making that rank. So
that's awesome. I love that. Like, well, I don't love that happened to you. That's terrible. But I'm glad that after all that, you know, it sounds like you went through all the emotions. You were upset you didn't make it. You got angry a little bit, and then you finally like came to terms with it. And then it was like, oh, by the way, you did make it. Were you doing that duty where you're cleaning up like the outside of the medical group?
I was, yeah.
What is that called?
It's called Weeds and Seeds. So, and by me finding out about staff was just so awesome the way it did, because that program is for the airmen, you know, so.
So you just threw your bag down and just walked off. Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
All right. So second question, what is your favorite TikTok video that you have made?
I would say my favorite one was probably the one with me acting like I was dead at my funeral. And I don't know if you've seen this one. So pretending that I'm dead, and it pans over to my airmen waking me up to ask me, can I approve their leave?
Like the airmen waking you up because you're dead. They're at your funeral and they're just concerned about like approving leave or something.
Right. Yeah. Yes.
Takiah, you need to be a comedian. I cannot believe, I don't know where you come up with this stuff.
No.
Like, I just got on TikTok recently. I mean, I'm 36, so yeah, I was a little bit late. But I finally am on there, and you popped up as a person I should follow because you're in my phone, and I was like, oh, she's on there, and I get on there. How many followers do you have?
Almost 10,000.
Good Lord. But I'm not surprised because it is so funny and so clever. And as someone who's in the Air Force, I can relate. Like, let me see you. I'll play some of your best TikToks so that everybody watching the YouTube version can see your TikToks because they're fire.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
What made you get into that?
Honestly, I couldn't figure it out for a long time, and I had my sister-in-law kind of playing around with it. So it started out as her TikTok, and then my sister, she was kind of encouraging me to re-explore the app. She said, I really think you would like it. You know, there's like short little video segments, and I think you would excel with it. So, excuse me. I got back on the app and I just kind of played around with it, figured it out, trial and error. And then it kind of just grew from there. So.
Well, you're very creative. Like the stuff you put on there, I'm like, how the heck did you even think to like make that a thing? And then it ends up being the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Oh, thanks.
So yeah, keep doing it. You're doing big things. Third question, who is your biggest role model and why?
Well, if you know me, you would already know it's Beyonce.
Yeah, your name in my phone changed to Beyonce. Did you do that you did that on your end? And it updated on my end and it said Beyonce. And I was like, what? I don't have Beyonce's number, do I?
Yeah, that's my ID. I'm a proud member of the Beehive. I have a bee tattoo. I have freaking bee what is it called? Air fresheners in my car. I had a bee phone case, a bee laptop holder case, whatever. I'm a proud member of my Beehive. I really look up to Beyonce. Not only is she talented and beautiful, I appreciate just how empowering she is as a woman, especially as a Black woman. I feel like she is just overall a great person. I've listened to some of her interviews. She's very humble and she's very giving to the community as a whole. So when I think about who inspires me, Beyonce comes to mind. My mother, you know, she's very hardworking, very selfless, very giving. So she also is very inspiring as well.
That's awesome. Where did you grow up at?
A little bit of everywhere. So my stepfather was in the Navy. So I was born in Brooklyn, New York. But, you know, we traveled around so much. Home, I consider home Virginia, the DMV area.
That's where I grew up, if you remember.
Really? DMV?
Yeah, I'm from Waldorf, Maryland.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, now my family lives in Virginia. They moved. First of all, we know each other from public health. We were stationed together at Luke Air Force Base. I always thought you were just one of the most positive people I've ever met. You just brought this like different vibe to the group where, you know, I'm going to be honest, when you showed up like right before then, it was a nutty place to work. the public health office. I'm just going to be real with you. It's a very, very nutty place to work, very abnormal. And so you kind of made it more normal, and you brought the positive energy that I think all the airmen and everyone needed at that time. And so I definitely never forgot about you. And I knew that you would eventually go on and do big things, which you have. And because you're an MTL and I want to talk about every special duty, I was hoping you could run us through 5 things you learned as being an MTL.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for those words. I really appreciate that. So 5 lessons I've learned. So I've been in MTL, just to give you some back history. I've been in MTL for almost 3 years. I'll hit the 3-year mark in December. I'm stationed at JBSA Lackland. I started out at the 343rd Training Squadron with all the defenders, one of the largest tech schools in the Air Force. I spent about 2 years there, and then I transitioned up to the 37 training group. So now I serve as an MTL for the 37 training group. And my main responsibility is standards and eval. So I inspect them. We do like master MTL competitions. We're the judges for that. So kind of different position. I'm not dealing directly with the airmen, but I do have that experience as squadron MTL and being on the line. So while I was there, I'll kind of reflect on the lessons that I've learned there. So with that, I would say one of the lessons would be to just be slow to speak. You know, initially when you see something, especially as an MTL or as a person in general, you kind of want to just attack it right then and there, or enforce that standard, enforce that mishap, whatever. But, you know, just kind of being in that position made me realize that, okay, everyone kind of has a story, and just to listen, you know, just be slow to speak and just listen to what's going on, listen to all the facts, and don't make any decisions off of what you think is going on, you know? So lesson I would say is just be slow to speak.
Okay. So basically, like, these are brand new people to the military, and it's kind of hard for us to like wrap our head around that, because it's been a hot minute since that was us. And so they're going to make tons of mistakes. They're going to have tons of questions, and some of which could be kind of alarming situations, I'm sure, because you're dealing with someone who is just a civilian, right? Right. So you probably get put in some pretty crazy scenarios, and how you respond in the normal day-to-day Air Force would be like, what are you doing? But to them, you probably have to dial it back a little bit, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of remember that, like you said, they were civilians. So this is all new to them. You know, military language is new, military discipline is new, how to act like an airman, how to talk to an NCO, all this is new. And just kind of keeping that in the back of your mind and remembering that, because like you said, when you're operational, you kind of expect, that's what you expect. You expect them to know how to behave, you know, but just kind of reflecting and dialing back that, no, they're still learning, and just kind of yourself in that position if you can. You know, it was 10 years ago for me, that I was at that point at one time in my career as well.
So was there ever a point where you kind of like jumped down someone's throat and then immediately were like, oops, my bad, when you like heard the actual story?
Oh, I'm sure. Absolutely.
I saw that picture of all your 341s. Was that your picture or like a stock image?
No, that was mine.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was mine. Yes.
That was crazy.
Yeah, well, what happened was, so we have airman leaders, you know, as in the MTL Corps, we have our airman leaders that are kind of our eyes and ears when we're not in the facility or around the squadron. So my airman leader had collected all those 341s and submitted it to me. So I come in Monday morning, he's like, here you go, Sergeant. And I'm like, what the?
that had to be a new record. Like, that was a lot. That was like a stack.
It was. Oh my goodness.
Awesome. All right. So let's just call that last one number 5. So now we're on number 4.
Yeah, I would say another lesson was just, I mean, we've heard this before. I'm sure you've heard it before, but you can't pour from an empty cup, you know, and to take care of yourself. You know, as an MTL at the 343rd, I had as much as 110 airmen under me, reporting directly to me, 110 issues to deal with, 110 assignments to process, so it's easy to get overwhelmed and to bring some of the stress from the job back home and not take care of myself, So, it's hard for me to give the airmen the attention they deserve when I'm neglecting myself,
So that must have been like, you have to pace yourself, right? And
Oh,
there's only so much you can give in a day. And in the medical group, you're dealing with a established and trained staff, right?
Right.
You have set hours and you kind of know what to expect going in. But when you're in the environment that you're in, you're with people who aren't trained, right? They just got there, they're going through tech school and they're uncomfortable, they're stressed out, they come from all different walks of life. So like, you went from an environment of knowing your parameters and knowing what to expect and getting that down to kind of a chaotic environment where you don't know what the day is going to bring.
Absolutely. You don't know what issues are going to come up. You don't know what that airman is going through back home and what they're bringing with them to the squadron. You don't know. Every day is a new day, literally. But new issues, new problems, every day is something new.
So how did you make that switch? Like, was it like super stressful and you had those moments where you just had to pause? Like, how did you become an efficient and well-equipped and confident MTL when you were kind of thrown into this chaotic environment?
Yeah. Well, and that kind of ties into the next lesson learned. And that was, don't be afraid to ask for help. That's really what it was. Just me asking those questions and humbling myself to ask those questions and watching, observing, reading guidance, digging through the AFIs, the policies, and just being intentional in shadowing people, being intentional in asking those questions. Hey, you're doing X, Y, and Z. Can I come with you? Hey, you're talking about this. Can I listen? So I know how to articulate that if I'm ever presented with something like that. So you really just have to be just intentional and deliberate with your own professional development, because nobody's going to care like you care. Nobody's going to put in as much effort as you do into your career. So if you are showing interest and if you're passionate about being the best or being amongst the best, people are going to bring you up there with them. If you're not, taking those initiatives, if you're not asking those questions, it's going to be perceived that you don't care. So why should anybody else care? So I think kind of having that attitude is kind of what helped me to propel as an MTL.
Right. So you have to go into it like looking to be a sponge and learn from not just your own situation, but other people's situations. It kind of reminds me of being a first sergeant in a way.
Oh, yeah.
So all the special duties have that one thing in common. There's one of you and a ton of them.
Yeah.
As far as like the airman to leadership ratio is just crazy different for any special duty. Like that's the one thing I noticed they all had in common. And when I gave turnover to Sergeant Walters and honor guards at Whiteman, I told them that. I was like, there's one of you and there's 60 of them. Like at the end of the day, don't ever forget that how disproportionate it really is. You have to keep that in mind, as you approach each day. Okay. I love that. Was there ever a time where, you didn't ask for help because you felt too prideful, or were you always the type to ask for help when these crazy situations popped up?
I think I was always the type to ask for help, only because I don't know as an answer. I feel like, especially as an NCO and especially considering the position I'm in, the airmen are looking up to me. They are expecting me to have the answers. In their eyes, I am like the enlisted Jesus, You
are the Air Force.
Right.
You're the Air Force Wikipedia in their eyes.
Right. That's how they perceive us as an MTL. So for me, I wanted to be able to make sure I delivered appropriately and have the answers to those questions. So I've never been too prideful to ask for help.
So was there ever a situation where you definitely needed help and you had to pause and say, hey, y'all, like I for real need help? Was there ever a situation where, you 100% had to ask?
Oh, yeah. Uh, we had one airman who he was missing from accountability. You know, we have accountability every night at the squadron level, and we couldn't find him, you know, and we got a anonymous tip that he was in his room passed out drunk, you know. So I didn't know how to deal with that. I didn't know if I should go in and try to wake him up, if I should call the ambulance, call 911, call the police. So it really took me kind of connecting and banding with some of my experienced NTLs for help. Like, hey, what do I do in this situation? How do I handle this situation? You know, do I throw ice on him? I know from a medical standpoint how to address it, but from an MTL perspective, how do I handle the situation? And you know, the fellow MTLs that I work with, we've always had each other's back, you know, and that teamwork and camaraderie is so important, especially in this position. But they were able to kind of assist me and kind of walk me through the steps, what I needed to do. We had to call the police and make sure he was taken care of, you know. At that moment,
he was in there?
He was in there. Yeah, he was in there, passed out, underage, you know. So it was just a hot mess, but we took care of it. We handled it. Appropriate disciplinary actions were taking place, but I wouldn't have been able to know how to handle that, especially as a new MTL, if it wasn't for my fellow MTLs helping out and assisting with that.
Definitely. That's another similar thing to all special duties. Like, your time there is limited, and when you're new, it feels super overwhelming. So like right out the gate, like you need that community, you know what I mean? And it sounds like you guys had that there, so that's really good.
Yeah, we really do. And that's one thing I will say that we do well. You know, there's some days that really just suck. But I think we all just embrace the suck together, holding hands.
I think you are so perfect for this job.
Oh, thank you.
Because you're so positive. Like, even when you were stressed out, you were still kind of funny to me. Like, you would, even when you were stressed out, like you would make light of it somehow.
Yeah, maybe it's a defense mechanism. I don't know. So I'm really dealing with it directly. Maybe.
Hey, if it's a defense mechanism, it's working. Because like I'd be freaking out about something bad happened, and then you would start laughing about it and joke about it, and I'd be like, yeah, I guess it's really not that serious. You know what I mean? So I think you are the perfect person. You're probably, you know, just your vibe, your energy, you're very approachable, and I'm sure they appreciate that, right? Because I mean, when I was in tech school for 6 months, which is a long time for Air Force tech schools. And yeah, there were some MTLs who were not approachable, and it just made you aerospace ground equipment.
Oh yes, I forgot you were trained in public health.
Yeah, when you met me, that was my first basis, public health.
Oh wow! Look, see, it's been too long, okay.
Yeah, it's been since 2016.
Yeah.
So an entire 6-year enlistment has gone by. So like the airmen that we knew then could be just out by now. That's how long it's been.
Yes, that is crazy.
It is. So, okay. Those are both great. What number are we on now?
The last one.
We're already at the last one? Dang, that was quick.
Yeah. I would say just to just have fun and learn and grow and capture moments, you know, because you'll look back and reflect and try to go through pictures, and you're so caught up in the moment, you're not taking pictures, you know, you're not thinking about doing stuff like that. But now that I'm here at the group, and even when I went to the AFSAPED this past summer, a lot of the past MTLs, because we had a panel of like past MTLs to just come back and give us feedback and their experience. And a lot of them said that serving as an MTL was some of the best moments of their career. And when I think back on where I'm going to be in the future, and when I reflect on it, I want to be able to look at pictures and memories of that, you know. So I would just say, you know, capture those good times, even the bad times, you know, just capture that and just have fun in the moment and in the position.
Definitely. It's because you have an insane amount of purpose, right?
Yeah.
That's what makes it so memorable. It's because you have purpose. You're impacting people, all these people's lives. Like they're depending on you. And it's much more of an obvious impact. Like we all have an impact on people and on the mission, but in these special duties, it's very apparent. It's like you're getting that immediate feedback, right? So you know that, holy cow, like, you know, depending on how I approach this could change their lives. They could want to stay in, they could want to get out.
Yeah.
You know, so you're at a pivotal moment in their lives to being there for them. One of the things that was on my mind was, you know, was there any moments as an MTL where you truly saw that impact, where you knew that you were there for that person in a way that, you know, no one else could be?
Oh, yeah. So one story specifically I remember, because like I said, we have about 110 airmen on a team at one time. And if for some reason they wash off, meaning medical reasons, they fall off team, or academically they fell a block, they get washed off, they join a new team, right? So one of my airmen in my flight had just joined the team and was just kind of struggling to fit in. You know, she was feeling kind of like an outcast. She didn't know anybody on the team. All of her friends were kind of progressing ahead of her because, you know, she had to leave her flight. So she was just kind of feeling a little disconnected from everyone and everything in regards to that new flight. So I noticed that she had been just kind of acting out of character and getting in trouble a lot more, and was kind of being written off as she's not going to graduate, you know. So I pulled her into my office and we kind of had a conversation. And that goes back to the lessons, you know, as far as be slow to speak, you know. And I said, look, Airman so-and-so, what's going on with you? You know, you're not acting how you usually act. You are getting in trouble. I'm getting all these 341s from you. What's going on? And she kind of expressed how she's been feeling a little isolated. You know, she's been, how she washed off. She's feeling like she's defeated. She's feeling like a failure. Her parents were disappointed in her. And she said that she feels lonely. She doesn't have anybody there. So what I ended up doing was I created a scavenger hunt for her, where she had to find somebody within her flight that had a twin, find somebody in her flight that enjoyed music. Because I asked her beforehand to give me something interesting about her so that I could cater the questions to stuff that she can relate to try to force and form those relationships. So, you know, we made this whole scavenger hunt. I gave it to her. I said, hey, I need this back to me by the end of the week. So she spent the whole week just mingling with the flight, because it kind of encouraged and promoted her to talk to people, you know. So she spent the whole week mingling with the flight and just talking and learning all these interesting facts about people and just kind of integrating herself with the flight. And, you know, she came back and she was excited. She was happy. She's like, I finished it. You know, she's telling me all about X, Y, who did this, who did that. Oh, my friend did this. My friend does that. We have this in common. We have that in common. And so I just felt really, really proud that I could help her in that moment. And then to see her graduate with her new flight, and to just be so immersed in her flight and taking these flight pictures and taking the one-on-one pictures with her and her new friends. It just made me feel really good, and a really satisfying feeling that I could help her in that way.
Dang, that's beautiful. What a creative way to like get her back. Like I have never even heard of something like that. A scavenger hunt for people. That's genius. What a great idea. And like, it gave her a talking point, right? Like it gave her, oh, hey, I'm going to ask you some questions because, you know, Sergeant Christensen told me I have to do this. So I'm going to, and so like, it gave her like a reason to be approachable and to start a conversation.
Like, hey, do you have no, you have, my sergeant made me do this, you know?
Right. And then, yeah, we've all been there. We've all been like feeling like, you know, we're the ones shut out.
Yeah.
And it's like really easy to like beat yourself up and to just quit, you know, and just be like, well, I guess that's me. I guess I suck. Like, it's just easy to get stuck in that headspace, and especially when you're that young and you're new and you don't know anyone, you know.
Right.
And so you were able to find this creative way to pull her out of that and made her feel appreciated again, which made her like flourish, you know.
Yeah, so I was really happy to be able to help her in that capacity. I think she got a lot more confident in herself and who she was as a flight member and as a security forces member, you know.
Right. Did she end up making it through the training?
Oh yeah. Oh,
She
she's
did?
long on. Her first day and probably thriving right now.
I mean, if everyone was starting to give up on her, you know, you might be the reason she's still in.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of crazy to think of it that way? Like, her whole life has changed because of this one creative little game that you put on her radar. Like, and she's still in to this day because of that.
Yeah, and the only thing I hope that's great, you know, and that perspective is great. But what I really, really hope is that if she's ever in a situation of a NCO position, or even as an airman, you know, if you ever see somebody else struggling like that, that you would pay it forward and do something like that for somebody else. Think about and reflect on how it made you feel and want that for somebody else, you know.
Definitely.
So
Like, she probably,
he paid it forward and shared that with somebody else.
definitely. I know I have with my good supervisors that helped me when I was really down or doing really bad.
Yeah.
And it allows you to recognize that in others. Like, you see your past self in others and you can relate to their struggle.
Yeah.
And then if in your past someone did come in and help you, of course that's going to be on your heart and on your mind. Like, hey, I know how you're feeling. Someone helped me this way, and so I want to talk to you about it. And so I think most of the time those good supervisors, we 100% do pay it forward, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So how has being an MTL like changed your personality, your outlook on life for the Air Force? Has it changed who you are?
I would say it kind of made me a little bit more comfortable in who I am and comfortable, a little more confident talking to people. I was never really shy, but I wouldn't be the first one to bring up any type of thing that would cause some type of confrontation. So, you know, I might let certain things pass by, or I might not speak up when I should, just out of fear of I don't want to cause any trouble, you know. But I think just kind of being in this position and dealing with so many different situations and backgrounds and personalities, it kind of forced me to have uncomfortable conversations to the point where I can have them and it doesn't intimidate me anymore. You know, so I think in a sense of that, I'm a bit more confident and more articulate when I speak. But that'll probably be the biggest takeaway from the position is just my confidence in dealing with certain situations.
Right, because you kind of had to, like, you had to learn to be confident for them to listen to you, right? So you had to learn how to tailor your message to that audience. So you needed to learn how to explain things slowly, calmly, confidently, and thoroughly, so that them as trainees would pick up on that and respond to it. And so the more you did that, you know, the more confident you became in your own approach, basically, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And then even the way I handle stress, you know, because like we talked earlier, you know, we come into this environment and it's so chaotic. You got so much stuff going on, so many responsibilities. It's just a lot going on at one time. So I think coming from this position moving forward, I would be able to just handle stress a little bit better because I've been used to it. You know, I know how to thrive in an environment where there's uncertainty, where there's chaos. I can be a little bit more steady, a little more grounded because of the position as an MTL.
Yeah, chaos. That's like every day. Let's go.
Right. We got 900 outbreaks. Bet. Let's get it.
Yeah, you're going to be perfect for COVID ops. And by the way, Beyonce would be so proud of you. Oh my God. Queen Bee would love you right now and be so proud of you. is what a normal day for an MTL would look like? Like, how would they expect their day to go?
Just because the nature of your day will depend on where you're located. The nature of the day would depend on how many airmen you have under you. There's so many moving factors when it comes to that question. I could give you a perspective from here at JBSA Lackland, but again, everybody's a little bit different. You know, just because I manage my time well doesn't mean the next person does. So for them, their day might be completely different because they're not structured, they're not organized like that. So I would say a good question, if just an idea, is to ask what qualities make up a good MTL.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay. Thanks.
I'm ready to take notes.
Yes, I think in order to be successful as an MTL, you have to be organized. That absolutely, you have to be organized because, like we said, it's chaotic, a lot of moving parts, a lot of different needs and demands from not only your airmen, but your fellow MTLs, your leadership. So you have to be organized. You have to know how to prioritize and have some structure to your schedule. So that would be the top characteristic, I would say, of a good MTL would be someone who is organized. I would say you would have to know how to communicate. Like we talked earlier, you're going to be communicating to a team as big as 112 airmen, you know, and not only being able to communicate, but being able to recognize that everybody learns differently. So yes, you can make an announcement, but you also have to keep in mind that Airman Doe doesn't learn from words. He needs to be shown something, you know, or Airman Jane, she needs to see it, and she needs to hear it, and she needs to touch it, you know. So just being mindful that yes, you have to know how to communicate, but you also have to be mindful that everybody receives communication differently, and being able to cater how you communicate to everyone so that the whole team can thrive. I would say you have to be able to manage your time well. So aside from the stuff we mentioned earlier, as far as, you know, gathering the orders and addressing their needs, you also have stuff you have to do like room inspections. You know, you have open ranks inspections, you have uniform inspections. So it all goes back down to just managing your time, being organized, being deliberate in what you want to get done to make sure that you are taking care of the airmen and yourself and your responsibilities when it comes to doing the room inspections and doing the open ranks inspections and making sure everyone gets their phase cards and stuff like that. So
cool. Would you say that, you know, we always hear a lot, you know, when we were new airmen, they were like, oh, you airmen are totally different than us that have been in a while, and you guys just, you know, aren't equipped to run the Air Force. I feel like every generation kind of looks back at a previous one and criticizes them. Do you see any differences with these new airmen coming in?
Oh my God, yes. Yes, I do. They need to know why for everything. And I'm not used to that. You know, it took me a while to kind of adjust to that. For me as an airman, when it came to direction from my leadership, when it came to expectation from my leadership, it was yes, ma'am, thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir, thank you, sir. You know, and we kept it pushing. If you're giving me feedback, got it. Thank you. Good to go. You know, it was never no type of confrontation about it. You know, I just never felt I was in a position as an airman to have an opinion or to question anything you're telling me to do or any type of feedback you're giving me. But I will say now, and I'm sure you have seen this, times have changed, okay? We had an airman, man, I will never forget this. So he was a graduate, and he did not have, I want to say we were waiting for something to drop in order for him to get his assignment, or his hard copy orders. He had an assignment, he just needed his orders. So I want to say we were waiting for medical to update his status, his ASIM status, make him all green. And we couldn't issue him his orders until that reflected in the system. So he was held over. He had been held over for quite a while, but he was frustrated, which naturally I can understand that, you know. So we needed him to work a CQ schedule, which is pretty much you manning the front desk, you're in charge of quarters, you're in charge of the dormitory space. So we're like, hey, Airman so-and-so, we need you to take on this CQ shift because we don't have anybody to cover. He had the audacity to say, I'm not doing it.
Oh my God.
I'm not doing it. I don't have my orders. That's what he said.
I'm like, you're getting paid though, right? You're still getting paid, right? Okay.
You aren't working for me. Why should I work for you? He was talking to one of my troops. So one of my staff sergeants, he was talking to him. And I'm just sitting in the back seeing how everything's unfolding, you know? So he said, I'm not doing shit. I don't have my orders. You're not working for me. Why should I work for you?
Wow.
So to answer your question, yes.
And a lot of the situations are reflected in the comedy, the very hilarious TikToks that you make, like the funny situations that you're put in and how you portray them. Freaking love it. And I'm going to play a bunch of them on this episode for everybody.
I appreciate that.
Definitely. So what is next for you?
So next for me, I actually plan on going into the reserve. So
Say what? We're losing you?
I know.
No.
Yeah, so I plan to separate and get off active duty next year and transition into the reserve and finish out my time as a reservist.
Nice. Why is that? You want to stay in that area?
It's a couple of things. You know, I recently had my daughter, who's she's 9 months now.
She's beautiful.
Thank you. Appreciate that. And so with me and my husband both being active duty, you know, I didn't want to put us in a situation where we may both deploy or we both be in a position where we're gone or something. So I just figured, you know, I can get out. I've gotten a lot of things done throughout my career so far. I feel like we're in a better place financially to make this move. So I think it's just the best for me and my family.
That's awesome. Yeah, that mill-to-mill couples, that is tough. You got 2 young kids. Yeah, I mean, I got 2 kids and I'm not mill-to-mill and it's already tough. I can only imagine adding that extra layer of both parents being active duty, having to have a family care plan that like is actually sound and legit, because it's very well possible both of you could get deployed, and what would you do with your kids? And yeah, that's very stressful. Very stressful. So I definitely, you know, thank anyone who's in that position and trying to make that work like yourself. Of course, I want to keep you on the active duty side because you're fire.
Don't be gassing me up.
I'm blowing you up. That's the point of Hero Front.
Yeah.
Put our heroes at the front. See what I'm saying?
I appreciate that.
All right. So final question. There's someone out there listening. Hold on. Let me get this Delta out of my system. Final question.
Okay.
There's someone out there wanting to be an MTL, kind of curious about special duties. Should I stay in my career field? I'm comfortable. I'm getting good at it. Why would I leave? Or should I be an MTL? I remember my MTL. It seemed like a pretty cool job, but I just don't know what I should do. So for that person out there that's on the fence, the opportunity is there and they're really not sure if they should do it or not, what would you tell that person?
I would tell them to do it. I would tell them to just keep in mind that there is a opportunity for growth when you are uncomfortable. Because I was that way for a long time. You know, I'm the type of person, I like to be comfortable. I like to know what I'm doing. I like to be, that's me. I like my processes. so the idea of being uncomfortable and trying to learn a whole brand new job and new personalities, new attitudes, it's fearful, and I feel like that's natural reaction. So I would say to do it and to recognize that, yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. Yes, you're going to maybe have some moments of regret, but the growth that will happen when you are uncomfortable will be worth it. The growth that happens when you're learning and given these different opportunities to lead and be at the forefront when you don't know what's going on will be worth it, and ultimately will make you a better person, a better NCO. So absolutely do it. Reach out to me or reach out to another MTL, get some different perspectives.
You can find her on the global as TSgt Beyonce Christensen.
That's right. BEY. No, just kidding.
And you really should have been bioenvironmental. You would have loved that.
Really?
Yeah, they're called the Bees, bioenvironmental engineers. B.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
And you already forgot about them? Oh,
Listen.
We need to get you back. We need you back in public health. We need that positivity.
So much has changed in public health. Like, are you guys even doing are you guys using ASIMs and doing the PHAs? And
we're using ASIMs, but we don't own it anymore, and we don't do PHAs anymore. Like, that's a flight med thing.
What about Alta? You guys still use Alta?
We still use it. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
But that's changing. Alta,
Yeah.
CHCS, they're all being updated.
Oh wow.
To whole new programs. Like we all have laptops that can log on to the cloud.
Yeah.
So
wow.
you can just undock your laptop, use it anywhere. It's logged onto the cloud. You have all the drives. Like,
wow.
It's definitely advancing for
Yeah.
sure. It's advancing. They're made renovations at like almost every clinic, and they're sending teams to every base right now to get like the new Alta and CHCS basically set up.
That's awesome.
Yeah, should be pretty interesting.
Yeah. Have they done any like test runs of it?
Not that I've seen. At other bases they have, but at Eglin, I think they started on the west and they're working their way east. So I'm sure there's people out there familiar with the new programs, but I haven't seen it yet. They're about to roll it out here.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, hey, I think that's about an hour, right? That's what I needed. I now know what it's like to be an MTL, and I thank you for that.
Thank you. No
Yes.
problem.
I remember my MTLs, they became like mentors of mine, friends of mine. We always tried to make them laugh, find clever ways to like brighten their day. So I definitely remember them very well. I don't think I'll ever forget them, actually. And I think the same goes for you, the impact that you have on all these airmen, to be so approachable like you are, to be there for them. I'm sure they're never going to forget you, and I'm positive they're going to pay it forward. So with that being said, this concludes the hero's journey of TSgt Beyonce Christensen. And we are out.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye.
What's up, Hero Front fam? Josh here. And I just wanted to thank you from the bottom of my heart for listening to that episode in its entirety. I owe you a hug. And the next time I see you, let me know how many hugs I owe you, and we'll get after it. Before you turn me off, though, I want you to subscribe on YouTube to the Hero Front Podcast and give me a 5-star rating on Facebook or Apple Podcasts. It would be much, much appreciated to get your love and support. Again, thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining us on this Hero Front journey. And I will see you on the next episode. Let's get after it.